folks. Welcome to this week's Ag Report. This week we have a guest with us, James Glenn, who is part of the Waxahachie High School Ag Department, oversees various projects for the kids there in the FFA program. And so we're going to talk to him a little bit. Obviously we are out of the Snowmageddon, snow apocalypse that we had, Snowvid. I've seen all kind of names around there. I think we've all got the t-shirt and got the hat and are trying to move forward. But what did that look like for you? And tell us a little bit about some of the projects that the kids had, whether that would be pigs or rabbits or chickens and that kind of stuff. And what kind of trials and tribulations did the kids have? I know y'all have a new ag barn that was probably a blessing rather than being in the old barn going through this. For those that may not be, in the area. So we had a morning of 0 degrees, -1 in spots. That is, for our northern friends, that's not that big of a deal. For us in this part of Texas, that's a pretty big deal. Last time we got to that was in 1989. We matched that from my understanding. And then if we did hit that -1 or 2 in some of those outlining areas, then that would only be matched by 1899. So we don't get those kind of bone chilling colds very often. So I know that probably had an effect. Mr. Glenn, I appreciate you taking time. Tell us kind of what was going on there.
Yeah, so it was definitely cold. Luckily, here at Waxahachie FFA, we're blessed with this new facility that we have here located at the high school. It was heated. It was hard to keep as heated as we normally do. We definitely turned it down to where it was manageable. We did have the power go out a couple times though, so that affected that. That was concerning, but it was still those rolling outages, so it came back on quite frequently and allowed it to stay warm enough. We changed a little bit of the management things there, as in like shutting off exhaust fans, which affects air quality in that barn. But that was kind of stuff we had to do to maintain that heat inside those barns. So luckily it was built for that type of stuff. And that led to basically a lack of air quality because we weren't being able to get that air out of there from the ammonia. So that kind of affected the animals as well. But we got to work through that. We're a little bit luckier than some of the other schools around because some of those schools don't have heated barns. There's actually more than not is starting to occur that have heated barns, but the ones that do not, they had frozen water lines, they had frozen water, they were having to truck water in, and we've been there. We've had to do that before at our old facility, never on this scale by any means. I mean, it was cold. A lot of the kids didn't have power at home, so them getting to places to where they could still unfortunately, taking care of the animal is not like that, loses priority whenever you don't have power or heat at your house when it's 0 degrees. So me and the other ag teacher would come up here and we would communicate with everybody and try to make sure we were getting everyone's livestock fed.
So at this time of year and during this cold spell, what type of animal projects did y'all have? What were y'all tending to?
So we were supposed to actually get rabbits in, but that got pushed back due to the weather. So we just got rabbits in yesterday. So that was good because if those things would have been outside or in someone's garage, it wouldn't have been probably good at all. So that got pushed back. We just got those in. Right now, we just have sheep, goats, and pigs. Actually, the chicken show, which is another thing that's been affected by cold weather and by COVID in general, the chicken show this year at Ellis County is going to be canceled due to the lack.
Oh, wow.
A&M can't provide the broiler chicks that we need, and they all have to come from one place, or if not, you lose a certain type of fairness that's in that chicken show. So people could go grab them from here and there, and they're already half grown. I mean, they run into things like that. But that's the cold affected that. A lot of those hatcheries had to shut down and had issues. So that affected our chicken show. But right now in our facility, or during the cold spell, we just had sheep, goats, and pigs.
So with the lack of water, maybe the lack of, of a full feeding ration, maybe that had to get stretched out because of the access to feed. Are you having to change where any of these animals are going to compete because they got off their training program, just like an athlete?
Not necessarily, because we were actually the major show that we go to in the spring is San Antonio and then Kerrville. Now that did affect that. While we were in San Antonio, we had about 18 head of pigs with us, and that snowstorm started coming in, or ice storm started coming in. It was that Friday, I believe. We left and headed back. I did have some parents and students go ahead and go on to Kerrville. Whenever they went on to Kerrville, they actually got stuck there, and they were supposed to come back home Sunday. They ended up coming back home on Wednesday. They actually tried to leave on Sunday, and there was a wreck on that highway that goes to Fredericksburg there, and they got stuck, turned around by state troopers, and had to go care for those animals on the trailer. Finally got them back in the barn, and were able to keep them in a heated barn for 2 days until they could come back. But it was quite eventful for them because, all the feed stores were shut down. We had enough feed to last till Sunday. Luckily they had water. They rationed the feed out essentially and made it. And then they got back on Wednesday evening, which still wasn't a pretty drive then, but it was about the only hole they could get back through.
So as y'all are kind of regrouping and going forward, what do things look like? Hopefully, like the FFA creed, better days, through better ways. What are we looking for coming forward? What kind of shows are y'all getting prepared for now?
The biggest one that we're getting prepared for now is going to be the Ellis County Youth Expo. We're getting ready for that one. We actually have our Ag Mech department. I'm about to hop out there and help do some plumbing with Jake because he's behind because he didn't have the whole week to work last week. So we're trying to play catch up there in the Ag Mech department and make sure we get those trailers ready. They roll out on Friday morning. So he still has that. And I think that may be the only one left. I'm not sure about attending Houston. Houston's show is kind of all messed around as far as they have all the junior livestock shows going, but they've changed a lot of other things. But Jake's getting ready for that stuff. We're getting ready for the Ellis County Youth Expo. One thing that is kind of affected that we're going to discuss going forward, we have a stock show meeting this week, is talking about looking at the minimum weights on some of these animals, because not only, obviously it affected other schools harder than us, but if you had a pig that was weighing 160 and cruising to weigh 225 and you just went through the week that we went through last week, they didn't gain weight. I mean, it just wasn't gaining weight. I'm not saying livestock are hardy animals. They can survive about a lot of things as long as they have a windbreak, but doesn't mean they gain weight in those things.
Right. Well, very good. Well, we appreciate all the efforts that you went to try and help your students and help those families at home and just taking care of those animals. And like I say, it was a double-edged kind of deal. You had families trying to take care of themselves without any electricity and water. And then they had animals, in the barn. And a lot of places, they're not fortunate to have a creek or a pond, something like that. It has to come through a pipe or a bucket to get water to those things. And when you lose an infrastructure like that, whether that's through electricity with no pumps or just actually freezing up, that sure makes it difficult. So we appreciate those efforts that y'all did to try and help out any way that you can. And while we're talking about helping out, don't forget, if you are blessed and looking to make some donations, the Texas Department of Agriculture has their STAR fund. It is a disaster relief fund. If maybe you're a agriculture producer and you got hit hard, go to that STAR fund, look and see if there are some things that you can apply for there. So if you're looking to make a donation or if you're in need, check out the STAR fund. That is a free thing that the Texas Department of Agriculture puts up there to kind of manage the gifts and the donations there. So, Jake, I appreciate you joining us today. I hope that the kids, stay warm. It's going to be pretty this week, so hopefully we can make some of those repairs and get the water